In the previous video, I mentioned that there is a hidden district in the southern part of Huangpu district. Today, let's talk about this name that has vanished for 25 years, Nanshi District. From the perspectives of archaeology and geography, Shanghai has several places that can be considered its birthplace. But within the urban area, the very first place to take shape as a real city was Nanshi, with over 700 years of history. It's Shanghai's oldest urban district. The word Nanshi literally means the southern city. That's because in 1842, when the British established a concession in Shanghai, it was called Beishi, meaning the northern city. This became the old Huangpu district I mentioned in the last video. In contrast, the southern part where Chinese residents live was naturally called Nanshi. A century later, in 1943, that Nanshi officially became a name for an administrative division. In 2000, to expand the administrative scope of Huangpu district, Nanshi district was merged into it. Nowadays, the name is rarely mentioned, but for Shanghainese, it remains unforgettable because this area carried so many unique lifestyles. When talking about living in Nanshi, one can't avoid the four gates dividing east, west, south, and north. These gates existed because there used to be a city wall here. If you look at modern map, you will notice that Renmin Road is a circular. As you might have guessed, this is historical remains of the old city moat. In the Ming Dynasty, to defend against the war called ancient Japanese pirates, the country of Shanghai built a city wall. This is solid proof that as early as 1553, the central area of Shanghai was in Nanshi district, which is the root of the city's civilization. Inside the old city, the most famous site is Yuyuan Garden, so Shanghainese are more used to call it Wenmiao, city god temple. They sit right next to each other. One was a private garden owned by ancient nobles. The other is a temple dedicated to the city's guardian god. If I were an official, I'd prefer to use Wenmiao as the landmark name. Either way, this is a must-visit spot where Chinese and foreign tourists gather. Take Metro Line 10 or 14 to Yuyuan Garden Station and walk over. The entire block is built in Ming and Qing architectural style, giving you a glimpse of traditional Chinese design. Personally, I don't like the modern shops along the street since they disturb the historical atmosphere. That said, my annoyance eased when I realized that the temple and market combination had always been part of the area's design. It was meant to be a commercial street from the start. Still, the storefronts would look better if their decorations blended in more classical elements, as the current ones feel a little too newly renovated. Every Lunar New Year, I feel drawn back here for the unbeatable festival vibe. And every time I make sure to eat two things, Xiaolongbao from Nanxiang mantou shop and pastries from Lubolang restaurant. The main reason is simple. These two places can only be found inside Yuyuan Garden, and they also offer a comfortable dining environment. As for the taste, they absolutely meet the standard of authenticity. After all, competition for Xiaolongbao in Shanghai is fierce, and the locals are extremely picky. Lubolang has even welcomed the Queen of England and US presidents. The Madam Set pastry I recommend was originally created in 2014 for the first ladies attending the CICA summit. Paired with Chinese tea, these pastries are not only delicious but also rich in symbolism. In traditional culture, eating them represents a wish for good fortune. As a local, I don't spend much at Yuyuan Garden. those gift shops would still thrive even without my general support. But funnily enough, I do buy overpriced souvenirs from places like Hokkaido or Yellowstone. So maybe I shouldn't judge. Still, I suggest adding Yuyuan Garden to your itinerary. There aren't many places where you can frame both delicate traditional buildings and towering skyscrapers in one photo. For most visitors, their exploration of Nanshi District ends here. In fact, the true essence of Nanshi District lies just across the street from Yuyuan Garden. This is where the soulful journey into Shanghai's memories begins. If you are interested, you can go and see for yourself. You might discover feelings I haven't mentioned. If you have no plans to visit in person, following my footage, you will see the original appearance of this city, that is the Old Town area. The Old Town area of Nanshi District is divided into 4 parts by South Henan Road and East Fuxing Road. To the east of Yuyuan Garden is Shanghai Old Street. At the street intersection, you can see a distinctive memorial archway. There used to be more archways nearby, all built to commemorate famous figures, but they have all disappeared now. The street once connected to the docks and was home to Shanghai's earliest banks and silver houses. Buildings here still show late Qing and earlier Republican era styles. Lattice windows, sliding wooden shop front panels, and horsehead walls. This place was also the birthplace of 2-century-old businesses. Tonghanchun, a traditional Chinese medicine shop, and the Wuliangcai, a shop selling jewelry and glasses. Today, it's a quiet spot aimed at the bustling city. The second section is currently the area with the highest land value. After the destruction of the famous Yuyuan Garden, a villa community was built here with the lowest price of over $40 million. This high price is not only due to its prime location, but also because this place was originally a residence for the wealthy in ancient times. A site believed to have good feng shui, the traditional Chinese believe that certain spatial arrangements bring harmony and good fortune. Nearby, Baiyun Temple is a sacred site of Taoism, and the Dazhang Pavilion preserves the only remaining section of the old city wall. However, visitors can only view the wall from the outside, so this spot is not well known. A 1-kilometer walk south will take you to the core of the third section, Wenmiao, the Confucian Temple. This place was once Shanghai's busiest market and holds the useful memories of many locals. Initially, it was a venue for selling flowers, birds, and antiques. In the 1990s, as Generation Y grew up, the area around Wenmiao became a paradise for students' cultural products. There were not only various stationery items, but also peripheral of American and Japanese cartoon characters, such as Transformers models. Inside Wenmiao itself, there has long been a second-hand book market, where you can also search for old magazines and discs. Before the old area renovation, Wenmiao had already become a haven for contemporary ACG culture. For decades, local residents here ran small businesses out of their homes, kept up with the times, and made substantial profits. If you walk to the back of Wenmiao, the first thing you will see is Yiji restaurant. Its name comes from a story by Lu Xun, one of China's greatest literary figures. The restaurant serves authentic Shaoxing cuisine, and since you are here, you really should try the genuine Shaoxing rice wine and take part in the ritual of opening a wine jar. Go a little further inside and you will find Menghua Street, an old neighborhood. At first glance, it may seem ordinary, a cluster of simple homes still carrying a somewhat warm and modest look, But decades ago, most Shanghai residents lived just like this, in a city where 30 years of large-scale destruction and redevelopment have erased much of the past. The survival of this place feels extraordinary. Walking here, you catch a glimpse of the old Shanghai and a sense of nostalgia for what many once called old home. When filmed the fourth section 3 years ago, its demolition had just been completed. The streets were empty with no trace of the dense population it once had. Shanghai's efforts in urban construction are unparalleled worldwide. Old area renovations often involved over 1,000 households with a signing rate of more than 99%. The public's cooperation is high and their willingness to change their current situation is strong. These old houses had no bathrooms and independent kitchens. Although Shanghai residents who have moved into new homes miss the old neighborhood life, they can never go back to the past. The main road here, South Guangqi Road, is named after Xu Guangqi, a figure from the Ming Dynasty. His most outstanding contribution was introducing Western science to China at that time, such as elements of geometry. He is also the origin of the name Xuhui District, another district in Shanghai. The former residence of such an important figure was once on this road is Nanshi District, which shows that this place was never a rundown area. It just failed to keep up with the times as years passed. In a few more years, when the old house in this footage disappear completely, there will inevitably be replaced by high-priced luxury houses, becoming homes for the new wealthy. For most Shanghainese, Nanshi now survives only in memory. I sincerely hope these videos can preserve the final appearance of the old town area. Shanghai is developing rapidly, and the changes have made the city unrecognizable. Occasionally, when we look back, the past we came from has become blurred. If you enjoyed this video or if you are planning a trip to Shanghai, please subscribe to my channel. Your likes mean a lot to me, and I will see you in next episode.